Yo, listen, man, if you are an entrepreneur or a business owner and you are trying to hit new heights, you're trying to break new records, you're trying to get to past that cap of yours, right? That ceiling that you've been hitting for the last few months. Look, man, I'm here to tell you, it's not what you're doing, it's how you're doing it. It's the frequency that you're doing. You're probably doing the work, right? You're probably making the content. You're probably doing everything that you need to do, right? But it's not what you're doing, it's how you're doing it. How are you doing it? What is the frequency that you're doing the work in, right? Because two people could do the same thing. They could be in the same type of business, right? They could be marketing the same way to their prospects, but then they can get entirely different results, right? One might have a different intention behind it. They might have a different energy behind what they're doing, right? And at the end of the day, everything is energy. So how are you doing what you're doing? What energy are you doing it in? Right? What is the frequency that you're doing it in? The frequency being your thoughts, feelings, and your actions. Right? When you put those things together, that dictates the frequency that you're in. If you do things in your mind, right? You're thinking, man, I don't have enough, right? I can't get this stuff to work, right? I'm trying this, I'm trying that. Things that just don't seem to happen the way that they need to happen, right? If you're in the mind state of lack, or if you're in the mind state of things not working out, like what is the inner conversation that you're having with yourself when you're doing these things, right? Are you looking at your environment, your current conditions, the information, shit, the information? I feel like this shit about to fall over, bro. The information that comes into your being from your five senses, right? Man, I feel like this thing about to. The information that's coming in from your five senses, right? Your what you see, what you hear, what you taste. You know what I mean? The information that comes in from what you see, if you are not spiritually awakened, right? You might take the information of what you currently have, even though it's not what you want, or it's not what you desire to have and what you desire to be. So you'll take this information that is the evidence of your five senses, and you'll take actions based on what you see, based on what you hear, based on what you believe to be true, right? Of course, you're taking actions of what you believe, but if you take the information that you're getting from your senses, from the evidence of your senses and everything around you, and you make decisions based on that, what that is going to do is just recreate the same things that you're currently experiencing. And you want to change, right? You want to have something, you want to do something different, right? But 90% of our actions that we took yesterday, we take today because we think the same way. So if we're thinking the same way and things aren't working out, right? But if you're making decisions based on what you're already doing and what you already see, then you're just going to create the same thing, right? So pretty much, however you're doing what you're doing, you got to do it from a higher frequency. You got to do it from your higher self. You got to do it from the intentionality and the standpoint from where you want to be and where you want to go, not where you currently are. That makes sense, right? And how do you do that? How do you do that if you are where you are, right? And everything in your environment and in your world tells you that you are this, right? And you do this and you make this amount of money, right? How do you take yourself out of that and begin and start taking actions that are greater than your current self at the moment, right? Because that's what you're going to have to do if you want to reach and reach new heights, right? Everything that you do first has to be done in the mind. All change first has to be done within before you see a result without. All change starts from the mind. It starts within. So if you're working and you're trying to change things and things aren't working out right, and you're putting in more effort, you're putting in more grind, you're putting in more hustle, you're still doing those things at the frequency of what you currently are and who you currently assume and believe yourself to be, based on your five senses, based on what your current environment is, based on what your five senses tell you. So if that's the case, right, you're not going to get a different result. You're going to get the same result. You're going to do the same thing, right? Or maybe you might do something different, but you're still thinking the same. You can still do something different and be internally thinking the same and having the same internal conversations with yourself. You're still going to get the same result, right? It's because the subconscious mind, your lower mind, your deeper mind drives you. It's the driver of all actions. Even though you can think something consciously on my brain, like, hey, I'm going to do something different today. Your subconscious mind controls you. And if you don't take the time to go within and figure out what's keeping you doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, but getting the same result, you're just going to get the same result, right? You don't have to look outside of you. Everything is within, right? The kingdom of God is within. So if you want to change something, right? I was listening, I heard something from Reverend Ike, right? If you're not familiar with Reverend Ike, man, spend some time and just take a look. But he takes scriptures and he lines up scripture with metaphysics. And he said that the spiritual man controls the physical man, right? The physical man can't change physical aspects, right? It has to start within. The spiritual man has to change and control the physical man. So what is the spiritual man, right? The spiritual man is within. The spiritual man is what you see within. It's the inner man. It's the inner conversation. It's the inner thoughts. It's the inner images. It's the things that we see in our mind. So if you want to change the outer, if you want to change your business, if you want to change the results that you're getting, you have to go within and you have to change within first. When you change within, when you start thinking differently, when you start having different imagery in your mind, when you start thinking of better case scenarios, when you start thinking of everything working out for you, when you have a detailed, clear image of who you want to be and where you're going, the target, the goal, right? Not a distorted image. When you know exactly what you want, when you know exactly where you're going, right? When Google Maps, when you want to go somewhere, you don't type in, I want to go west. You type in an exact address, right? That's the only way it's going to be able to guide you and lead you to somewhere or the place that you want to go. So you have a specific target, right? And you detail out who it is that has to be that person to hit that target. Because obviously who you are right now is not hitting that target. That's why you don't have it. But it's not how you get there, right? It's not the things that you do. It's not more effort. It's not more grind. It's not more hustle, right? It's not what you do. It's how you do it. So if you want to do something, you want a different result, right? You're going to have to start taking actions that are not necessarily different, but from a higher frequency. The same actions that you're taken from a higher frequency, will get you a different result. So if you're making content, for example, right? And let's just say you don't get that many views. You're not getting that many views, but you're creating content based on the views that you currently get. You may not realize it, but all communication, not all communication, but most communication is nonverbal. So if you're creating content, right, you're getting in front of the camera and you're saying things, you're doing things, but you're looking at your views that you're getting. You're looking at the subscribers that you have, right? And it's not motivating you to create more. It's actually demotivating you because you're not getting the views, right? You're going to make content based on the views that you're currently getting. And subconsciously, you're going to say things, do things in the video, right? That shows that you don't get views. That shows that you don't have the subscribers because you're not taking the actions from somebody or you're not doing the things necessary or taking the actions from somebody who already has the thing, right? This is why Neville Goddard said you have to live in the end. You visualize the end and then you start taking actions from somebody who already has the thing that you want, that already has the $50,000 a month, who already has the 100,000 subscribers, who gets 100,000 views on their videos. Right? If you can tap into that energy and that frequency of the person who is already doing the thing that you want to do, and then take actions from that person. You take actions from somebody who already has the thing. So you set a goal, right? You get a very detailed image of the goal, right? And the person that you have to be to have that goal, because it's not what you do, it's how you do it. That person that has the goal already, that has 100,000 subscribers, is going to take actions differently than somebody who has 50 subscribers or 500 subscribers. They're going to take a different action. They're going to do those actions from a different frequency. What you have to do is formulate an image in your mind and tap into the person who has the frequency, who is on that frequency already, of the person who already makes 50 grand a month or whatever your goal is, that already has the thing that you want to have, right? You have to tap in to the frequency of that person. Once you tap into the frequency of that person, then you'll start taking actions. You'll start getting inspired actions, right? Once you formulate that image in your mind of that person and you meditate on this, you're going to start getting inspiration to take different actions, to say things differently, to say them in a different tone, right? When you start saying things and doing things from a different frequency, then things will start to change. Things will start to align up, right? You start taking inspired actions, not actions out of lack or desperation. You don't look at your current reality and take actions from there. You are now looking from within, from the person that you want to be, and doing the things that you want to do, and start taking actions from that. And that's how you take actions from a higher frequency, is not who you currently are, but where you want to be, who you want to become. And you visualize that, and you build a mental image of that. And the more repetitiously that you do that, you're going to be inspired to take certain actions, right? And when you start being inspired to take those actions, that's when things will change. What's the time on it? That's when things will change. Things will start moving and start working, and the synchronicities will start happening and things of that nature, right? But you have to elevate yourself out of your current circumstances. That's the only way. That's the only way. If you want to change something, then you have to do that within. That's how you do it, is elevating yourself from your current circumstances within, imagining yourself to be. You have to use your imagination, because it's whatever you imagine, you create. So what you're currently doing, if you're not where you want to be and who you want to be, you're currently looking at your life and imagining things that are going to recreate your life. You're using your imagination to, not to your detriment, right? Because you're at a certain point, but you can use it greater. You can imagine greater. The human imagination is miraculous. Use it for the best. Only think of the best. Only visualize the great things happening. You hitting that goal, right? You being that person, having the things that you already want to have, right? Use your imagination for that. right? And your thoughts will dictate your feelings, and your feelings will dictate your actions, and the actions that you do are going to get a specific reaction, right? And if you take those actions from a certain frequency and you tap in, then you're going to get a certain result. But look, man, hey, if you need help with this is what I do, man. This your boy Robmillionaire, man. Link is in the description. Hit me up, see if it's a good fit. I'm going to holler at y'all on the next one.